I came home from my Marine deployment in Ukraine, craving peace at my beach house, only to find my lawn turned into a massive wedding venue. White tents, flowers, music tests, and in the middle, my sister Sam giving orders like a general. Then I saw the stack, over 1,000 wedding invitations my parents had already mailed out. They promised everyone the Morgan Beach House as a venue without ever asking me. After serving my country, this was my reward? I couldn't believe it. But they had no idea I wasn't just a soldier. I had a battle plan of my own. I'll never forget that Friday afternoon. My boots were still stained from the red dust of Ukraine, my duffel bag heavy with reminders of a life most people couldn't imagine. I thought coming home meant peace. My beach house, the one I'd bought with combat pay and sleepless nights, was supposed to be my sanctuary. The tires crunched against the driveway, and I froze. 4 luxury cars sat in my spot, their chrome flashing in the sun. This wasn't normal. My house was supposed to be quiet, the air filled with waves and seabirds, not chatter, not laughter, not music. But I heard all of that, pouring from my backyard like an invasion. My chest tightened instantly. I rounded the gate and stopped cold. Rows of white chairs, a giant tent swallowing the corner of my lawn, strings of lights wrapping around my grandmother's oak tree, and my sister Sam, clipboard in hand, barking orders at strangers like some wedding general. The arch needs to be centered with the ocean view and make sure the seafood station gets enough power. Her voice had that same sharp authority I'd grown up with, except now it commanded my property. I couldn't breathe. I hadn't heard a word about an engagement, let alone a wedding. Yet my backyard had become a wedding venue overnight. A woman in a sharp blazer noticed me lingering, and before I could even speak, she extended her hand. "You must be Rachel, the generous sister. I'm Vanessa, the wedding planner. The venue is perfect. Your parents were brilliant to book it early." Venue? Generous sister? My palms went slick. I spotted a table stacked with cream envelopes. My fingers pulled one out without thinking. The words hit me like shrapnel. "You are joyfully invited to celebrate the marriage of Samantha Morgan and Ethan Carter at the Morgan Beach House." The Morgan Beach House. My house. A memory cut through me the day I signed those papers, hands shaking, pride swelling in my chest. Years of deployment checks, saving instead of spending, lonely nights on base, all for this. My retreat, my victory. But here it was, stolen in broad daylight. Sam finally noticed me. For a second, guilt flickered across her face. Then came the smile, sweet and poisonous. "Rachel, perfect timing. We're finalizing the seating chart. Mom sent out the invitations weeks ago. Didn't she tell you?" My throat clenched. "You're having your wedding? Here?" Sam waved me closer as if I were stuff. "Come on, you'll love this setup. 1,000 guests, it's going to be magical." 1,000? My vision swam. I saw the envelopes again. They'd already mailed them. My parents had promised my house to strangers, to hundreds of relatives, to people I didn't even know. "This is my property," I managed, my voice cracking. Sam tilted her head, pitying. "Oh, Rachel, you've been gone so long. You barely use it. We figured you wouldn't mind. Family, right?" Family. That word. My fists clenched around the invitation. My voice trembled, not from fear, but from the echo of every firefight, every briefing, every time I'd been told to stand down. I had been silent too long. Without another word, I turned and walked toward my car. Sam called after me, her voice rising, shrill now. "Don't be difficult. We have family obligations." Obligations. Always my obligations to them, never theirs to me. The invitation crumpled in my hand as I drove off. My knuckles white on the wheel, my mind a storm. For the first time in years, I felt something rising inside me. Not guilt, not duty, but steel. Because if they wanted a war over my house, they just picked the wrong Marine. The drive back to my apartment felt endless, but my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Missed calls from Mom, then Dad, then a string of messages from Sam, each one sharper than the last. By the time I slammed my door shut and dropped into the couch, the truth hit me harder than any battlefield memory. My own family had declared war on me, and this time, it wasn't bullets flying, it was betrayal. I opened my laptop, fingers trembling, and searched Samantha Morgan wedding. There it was, a Pinterest board created 8 months ago. Photos of floral arches, seaside tents, and even a post titled Morgan Beach House Dream Wedding. My breath caught when I clicked her Instagram. 3 weeks back, a photo of Sam and Ethan clinking champagne glasses on my porch. The caption read, "Final walkthrough at my amazing sister's beach house. Can't wait to host 1,000 guests for the celebration of a lifetime. Number blessed, number generous sister." Generous sister? May have clenched. Scrolling further, I saw comments from relatives. "Rachel, you're incredible for donating your home. Family is everything. You're so selfless." Selfless? They made me look like I'd volunteered, like this was my idea. The next blow came when I found a scanned PDF attached to Mom's mass email. An official wedding announcement complete with RSVP details, menus, and a glossy photo of my beach house labeled the Morgan Family Estate. Family Estate? My name was on that deed alone. I dug into my phone's messages. That's when I saw it. A text exchange between Mom and Dad, sent months earlier. "Mom, Rachel won't mind about the wedding. She never uses the house anyway. Sam needs this. Dad, should we at least mention it?" Mom, "Better not. You know how she gets. Easier to ask forgiveness than permission." Forgiveness. The word burned me inside out. My phone rang again. This time, I answered. "Hello? Rachel?" Mom's voice was clipped, annoyed. "Where on earth did you go? Sam is beside herself. The planner needs your input on the guest list." "Did you know?" I cut her off, my voice like broken glass. "Did you know they were planning to host 1,000 people at my house without even asking me?" A pause, then a sigh. "Well, of course. We all knew. Honestly, honey, you've been away so much. It's not like you needed it. This wedding is important. It's family. Sometimes you need to sacrifice." Sacrifice. That word again. How many times had I heard it shouted over sandbags, over radio static, over fallen brothers in Ukraine? I'd sacrificed enough. But to my parents, my sacrifice was never for country. It was always for Sam. "Rachel," Mom continued, "you've always been the strong one. Sam deserves her day. Don't ruin it by being difficult." I hung up before my chest exploded. The screen blurred with tears as I clicked into a private Facebook group, Morgan Family Wedding Committee. Over 100 members. Relatives debating floral patterns, cousins carpooling, uncles boasting about the beachside bar. Not once did anyone tag me. Not once did anyone ask. I leaned back, chest heaving. My house wasn't just being stolen, my story was being erased. I was the soldier who fought overseas, the sister who sent checks home when money was tight, the daughter who bought a home with her own blood and sweat. And now, I was a prop, a footnote. That's when Chloe, my best friend from college, called. "Rachel, I just got my wedding invitation to your beach house. Since when are you hosting 1,000 people?" I explained everything, my voice cracking, the words tumbling out like shrapnel. "Rachel," she said firmly, "this isn't just disrespect. This is theft. What are you going to do?" I stared at the pile of invitations on my screen. My parents had mailed thousands. My sister had turned my sanctuary into a circus. And for the first time in my life, I whispered back, "I don't know, but I'm done being their doormat." Oh, somewhere deep in my chest, the Marine in me stirred again. Because if they thought I'd roll over just because it was family, they were about to see just how wrong they were. That night, sleep didn't come easy. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw rows of chairs sinking into my lawn, champagne spilling across my deck, strangers rifling through my dresser drawers. It felt like a battlefield all over again, except this time the enemy wasn't armed soldiers. It was my own blood. I paced my apartment, muscles tight. In Ukraine, when chaos erupted, we had a saying, "Slow is smooth, smooth is fast." You don't rush, you plan, you strike when it matters. That mantra came back to me now. My phone lit up. A voicemail from Sam, her voice dripping with fury. How could you just walk away? You're ruining everything, Rachel. This is family. 1,000 people are counting on you. Don't be selfish. Selfish. That word. My throat burned. Another message came seconds later from Dad. Call your mother. She's upset. Work this out before it gets ugly. Ugly? It already was. I pulled open my filing cabinet. My hands shook as I spread the documents across the table. Mortgage payments, property deed, utility bills, all in my name. 5 years of sacrifice. 5 years of discipline. And they wanted to erase it with 1,000 envelopes. My chest rose and fell with a steady rhythm. In the core, you don't just fight back with fists. You fight with evidence, with strategy, with precision. The next morning, I dragged myself to the VA gym. I needed the iron, the discipline, the silence of weights clanking to drown out my thoughts. That's where I ran into Daniel Brooks, a former Marine buddy who now worked in logistics. He caught me staring into space between sets. Family drama? I laughed bitterly. More like family invasion. My sister's turning my house into her wedding venue. My parents mailed thousands of invites. No one asked me. Daniel whistled low. That's not drama, Rachel. That's war. Tell me about it, I muttered. He leaned closer, voice dropping into that Marine tone we both knew. Then fight it like one. Paper trail. Boundaries. Chain of command. You've got every right. His words sank in like rounds chambering into place. Fight it like a Marine. That evening, I drove back to the beach house. I didn't go inside at first. I sat across the street, headlights off, watching strangers unload floral arrangements into my living room. My jaw locked so tight it hurt. When the last car pulled away, I stepped out. The salty air stung my lungs, but I felt sharper, steadier. At the hardware store, I bought new locks and a set of security cameras. The locksmith came an hour later. By sunset, the house was sealed mine again. Inside, the silence was almost holy. I walked through each room, snapping photos of every wall, every chair, every cushion. Evidence, proof of condition. If 1,000 guests were coming, I need a record of what was untouched before they destroyed it. Back at my apartment, I typed a letter. Subject, beach house access. Effective immediately. No one may use the property without my explicit permission. Locks have been changed. All events scheduled without my knowledge are unauthorized. Rachel Morgan. I hit send. Seconds later, the responses poured in. Mom, don't be ridiculous. We're family. Where's the spare key? Dad, call your mother. She's distraught. Sam, a voicemail shrieking. You're ruining my life. But this time, I didn't shake. I didn't flinch. Instead, I opened a new tab on my laptop. A local tourism company was advertising, seeking luxury beach homes for high-end rentals. My fingers hovered over the contact us button. The Marine in me smiled. If they wanted to use my house like a venue without asking, then maybe I'd give it to someone who respected it. Someone who paid for it. A plan was forming, and once it was complete, there'd be no turning back. The following week, I walked into what can only be described as an ambush. Mom had called earlier, her voice dripping with guilt and command all at once. Family dinner tonight. Bayside Cafe, 6 p.m., no excuses. I should have said no, but Marines don't walk away from confrontations. We walk into them, eyes open. When I entered the restaurant, I spotted them instantly. Mom, Dad, Sam, and to my surprise, Aunt Helen. Our family's unofficial judge, jury, and executioner. Her scowl alone could silence a room. Sam didn't even wait for me to sit before she launched her attack. You ruined my dream wedding, she said, tears trembling in her eyes but never spilling. Do you realize what you've done? I had everything planned. Now Ethan's family thinks I'm a joke. Dad cleared his throat, shifting into his reasonable tone. Pumpkin, we all know you were surprised, but surely we can find a compromise. After everything we've done for you, this shouldn't be so hard. Mom leaned in, her voice low and trembling with emotion. Rachel, I raised you girls. I sacrificed my entire career to make sure you had opportunities. 8 years of piano lessons. Do you think we owe you nothing? I felt my jaw lock. Piano lessons I begged to quit after 3 months. Oh. The table went silent. Aunt Helen's eyes narrowed. Rachel, in this family, we support each other. Your grandfather would be ashamed to see this selfishness. That was their nuclear option. Grandpa Joe, the Marine veteran, my role model, the man whose medals I once polished as a child. Using his name to shame me felt like a knife in my gut. But I didn't flinch. Name one time, I said quietly, looking straight at Sam, that you asked before using my house. She blinked. What? One time. Just once. When you called ahead, asked for permission, and respected my answer. Sam's mouth opened. Closed. Nothing. I turned to my parents. One weekend when you left the house exactly as you found it. One visit when you didn't bring strangers. One occasion when you treated it as mine, not as a family timeshare. Silence. They couldn't name a single one. Mom's lips trembled and she spat. This vindictive behavior. But Chloe's voice cut her off. She had come with me, calling herself my boundary bodyguard. She set her phone on the table and tapped the screen. Actually, I have something. Everyone turned as she pulled up a document. A calendar, neatly color-coded. Rachel made 26 separate requests over the past 3 years. Each time, she asked you all to please call before using her home. Each time, she was ignored, documented by text, by email. My chest swelled, equal parts rage and gratitude. Chloe and Daniel had spent nights helping me compile this. Evidence. Proof. Dad shifted uncomfortably. No one's denying there may have been miscommunications. It's done anyway. I cut him off, my voice calm but sharp as a bayonet. The house is rented to Sandpiper Tours, a corporate retreat, exclusive use. The contract is signed, the deposit paid. The words hit like an artillery shell. Sam's tears vanished instantly. You what? I slid the folder across the table. The signed rental agreement, legal, binding, unbreakable. Her face flushed crimson as she slammed her hand on the table. You can't do this to me. I leaned back, my voice steady. I can, and I did, because it's my house. For the first time, I saw something new in her eyes, not just anger, but fear. Fear that her perfect, 1,000-guest fantasy had just gone up in smoke. The table erupted in overlapping voices, Mom pleading, Dad bargaining, Sam raging, Aunt Helen's eyes blazing judgment. But underneath it all, I felt strangely calm. Because this was no longer chaos, this was control. And for the first time since stepping off the plane from Ukraine, I felt like I was standing on solid ground again. They wanted a battle? Fine. But they had no idea this Marine never loses the high ground. The week before the wedding, my phone buzzed like a hornet nest. Dozens of missed calls. Voicemails stacked one after another. Some were begging, others raging. But I didn't answer. Not yet, because my plan wasn't complete. In the core, we never went into a fight without backup. That's why I called Daniel and Chloe over to my apartment one night. Papers covered the coffee table contracts, receipts, printed screenshots of messages. My blue Marine Corps notebook sat open, filled with strategy like an op order. Daniel leaned over the rental agreement I'd signed with Sandpiper Tours. They'll arrive 2 days before the wedding? Exactly, I said. Set up crew, staff, the whole thing. They'll have full legal possession of the property. Chloe grinned. So when your family shows up to hang twinkle lights, they'll be trespassers. I nodded. And I've documented everything. Photos, timestamps, invoices. If anyone damages a chair or even scratches the deck, liability falls on them. Not me. Daniel whistled. That's airtight. Marine level airtight. I leaned back, exhaustion tugging at me. I didn't want it to come to this, but they left me no choice. The next morning, I tested my security cameras from my phone. Each feed flickered a live backyard, living room, deck, porch. I could watch it all, no matter where I was. Foreshadowing that came back to me now. Every night in Ukraine, I'd stand guard with night vision, scanning for movement in the distance. Here, I was doing the same, Only this time, the invaders were wearing floral dresses and clipboards. 3 days before the wedding, a package arrived at my door from Sandpiper Tours. Inside was a bold, glossy banner. Welcome corporate retreat guests exclusive access. I couldn't help but laugh. They had no idea how poetic this would be. That evening, as I walked into my kitchen, my phone rang again. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I picked up. Rachel? The voice was hesitant. Ethan, my sister's fiancé. He cleared his throat. I just wanted you to know this wasn't my idea. I told Sam we should ask you. I even told your mom, but they said you wouldn't mind. I stayed silent. I respect what you're doing, he added, softer now. I can't say it in front of them, but you're right. This was wrong from the beginning. For a moment, my chest softened. But then I remembered the invitations, the lies, the Instagram posts painting me as the generous sister. Thank you for saying that, Ethan, I said flatly. But this isn't about being right. It's about respect. And they're about to learn what happens when they strip that away. Click. I ended the call. The next day, my neighbor texted me. Lots of trucks at your house today. Everything okay? I smiled to myself. It had begun. Sandpiper's staff was moving in tables, banners, sound systems, right on schedule. That night, I wrote my last email to the family. The locks have been changed. The property is under legal contract for the weekend. No events may be held there. Any attempt to enter will be considered trespassing. I hit send and closed my laptop. The chessboard was set. The pieces were moving. And in 2 days, when Sam marched into my backyard, expecting 1,000 chairs and a dance floor, she'd find a corporate retreat with laminated name tags instead. For the first time in weeks, I slept soundly, the Marine in me calm, because I knew what was coming, and they didn't. The morning of the wedding, I sat in my truck across the street from my own house, binoculars in hand. It wasn't paranoia, it was recon. Marines never walk into the unknown. We observe, we wait. And sure enough, chaos unfolded like clockwork. Sam stood in the backyard, clipboard clutched tight, directing vendors as if she were orchestrating a Broadway show. My mother floated around in her pearl necklace, humming while she tucked roses into vases. Dad paced like a nervous usher. Cars began to arrive, distant cousins unloading coolers, aunts balancing trays of food. Then, right on schedule, a white van emblazoned with Sandpiper Coastal Tours rolled into the driveway, followed by 2 SUVs. 7 uniformed staff hopped out, clipboards in hand. The tall manager, silver hair in a bun, walked straight towards Sam and offered her hand. Through my binoculars, I saw the exact moment confusion hit Sam's face. Her smile faltered, her head tilted, sharp and suspicious. The manager flipped open a folder, the contract I'd signed 3 weeks earlier. I could almost hear the words, exclusive access, corporate retreat, this weekend only. Sam's body stiffened, her hand flying to her hip. Mom rushed over, already flustered. Dad trailed behind, waving his arms as early wedding guests pulled in, only to be stopped by Sandpiper's staff. My phone buzzed. Calls, texts, notifications, stacking like artillery fire. I let them ring. Finally, I answered one. Sam's voice cracked through the speaker, shrill with rage. What did you do? I kept my tone calm, steady. Good morning to you too. There are people here saying they have a contract for a retreat at your house today. My wedding is today. I corrected her, my voice sharp as a knife. My house, not your venue. Her voice broke into a scream. Rachel, you can fix this. Call them off. You're humiliating me. You never asked me, I said evenly. Not once. You assumed. And this is what happens when you take without permission. She sobbed into the phone. You're destroying my life. I ended the call. Through the binoculars, I watched Mom scrambling, Dad whispering to panicked relatives, and Sam pacing like a caged animal. Guests began leaving, confused, muttering. Social media posts popped up within minutes. Anyone know why the wedding venue is canceled? Thought Rachel donated her house. I almost laughed. By noon, the scene had devolved into utter chaos. Sandpiper staff set up rows of folding chairs facing the water, but not for vows for a corporate seminar. They hung banners about marine wildlife conservation over the arch my sister had chosen for her perfect photos. I leaned back in my truck seat, breathing slow, steady breaths. For the first time since discovering their betrayal, I felt in control. And then my phone rang again. Ethan. I hesitated, then answered. His voice was calm, respectful. Rachel, I just wanted to say, I understand. You were right. This should have never happened without your consent. My parents are moving everything to their backyard. It won't be the beach, but it'll do. I swallowed hard. Thank you, Ethan. You did what you had to, he said quietly. I respect that. After he hung up, I just sat there, watching the house I fought to protect. For once, I wasn't the forgotten sister. I wasn't the selfless Marine expected to keep giving. I was the Erna, the decision maker, the one in charge. And my family, for the first time in their lives, had no choice but to face it. 3 days later, I heard the knock. Not frantic, not polite, just heavy like a verdict. Through the peephole, I saw them. Mom and Dad, side by side, postures rigid with fury and shame. I took a breath, squared my shoulders like I had before breaching a door in Ukraine, and opened it. Rachel Morgan, Mom began, her voice wavering between tears and anger. How could you humiliate your sister this way? Her wedding was in shambles. Do you have any idea what you've done to this family? Dad's eyes narrowed, his tone sharp but measured. After everything we sacrificed for you, this is how you repay us? By destroying Samantha's big day? I stepped aside, gesturing calmly. Come in. They blinked, surprised at my composure, but followed me into the living room. On the coffee table sat 3 glasses of water and a thick blue folder. I'd been preparing for this. Mom barely sat down before launching again. You need to make this right. A public apology at minimum, and compensation for the venue change. Thomas's family's backyard was barely adequate. I slid the folder across the table. Before we talk about apologies, look at this. Inside were photographs, wine stains on my grandmother's quilt after Sam's girls' weekend, cigarette burns on my deck, muddy paw prints across my white carpet, each one labeled dated. Receipts followed repair costs, cleaning bills. Every signature mine. This isn't normal family wear and tear, I said steadily. This is years of boundary violations, and I've carried the costs alone. Dad shifted uncomfortably. Rachel, it's just... Not just, I cut in. Every time I asked for respect, you ignored me. Every boundary I set, you crossed. This isn't about a house. It's about respect. I pulled out the property deed, mortgage statements, insurance bills. Everyone had my name. Mom's face flushed. We're family. We shouldn't need permission to... Family respects each other, I said, my voice sharp but calm. You had no right to make decisions for me. You had no right to mail thousands of invitations with my house printed as the venue. Silence. Finally, I pulled out one last sheet of paper. If you want any relationship with me moving forward, these are my terms. No one steps foot in my house without explicit permission. Advance notice is required, and all keys must be returned immediately. Dad's jaw tightened, but after a long moment, he reached into his pocket and placed a key on the table. Mom followed slowly, her hand trembling. Sam has one too, she admitted. I'll get it from her, I replied. They rose to leave, tension hanging thick. At the door, Mom hesitated. Will you come to Sunday dinner next week? I met her eyes. I'll let you know by Thursday if I'm available. Something passed between us, a new, fragile understanding. She nodded once, then left with Dad. When the door closed, I pressed my back against it, heart pounding, but not with guilt, not with fear, with something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. 6 months later, I sat on my porch swing, coffee warming my hands, the ocean breeze brushing against my face. My beach house was quiet. Mine, truly mine. No surprise parties. No stolen weekends. No obligations. Sam eventually came by, nervously clasping her hands, asking to visit with permission. Her voice cracked when she finally whispered, I'm sorry. And for once, I believed her. I'd reclaimed my house, but more than that, I'd reclaimed myself. Because respect isn't given freely. It's earned, it's demanded, it's enforced. And for the first time in my life, I knew my family finally understood I wasn't just their soldier. I wasn't just their doormat. I was Rachel Morgan, Marine, homeowner, sister, and the commander of my own life. When I look back now, I realize it was never just about a wedding. It was about respect, about boundaries, about finally standing up after years of being treated like my sacrifices didn't matter. I served my country. I bought my home with sweat, discipline, and pride. And yet, the people closest to me thought they could take it, twist it, and erase me from my own story. But here's the truth. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're survival. Without them, you lose yourself. With them, you finally breathe. My family didn't understand that at first. Maybe yours doesn't either. But when you draw the line, when you finally say enough, people start to see you differently. And sometimes, they even learn to respect you. So, if you've ever felt walked over, silenced, or treated like a supporting character in your own life, I hope my story reminds you you can take back your power. You can reclaim what's yours. If this hit you, subscribe for more revenge stories that matter. Because sometimes the best victories aren't loud. They're the quiet moments when you finally feel free.